Here in our COVID closet, which is multi-purpose. We can use it beyond COVID. We're here doing our secret podcast. You found us, the Emil, Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. And, we took some time off. We went away, came back, did a thing on Friday with Professor Daniel Phil Gonzalez. We talked about Vincent Chin. That's history. And you can go to ALDEF, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, and read up about that history and why it's still important. I posted it on the blog. It's kind of an interesting dovetail of Juneteenth into the Vincent Chin anniversary. And the official anniversary of his death is the 23rd, but the 19th is when Vincent Chin was hit in the head with a baseball bat by Ronald Evans, who has never served any time for that murder. And I go into that. And as we have mentioned, the reason why it's important to go over the history is because it's a hate crime. And people forget. They tend to forget. And I don't think there's any doubt that the Vincent Chin murder is maybe the most historical hate crime in Asian American history. I don't think that, of course, the Atlanta Spa murders is the closest. In fact, that was kind of a wake-up call. People, when the Atlanta Spa murders happened, no one knew. People had suddenly forgotten, Asian Americans, we haven't covered them. We don't know enough about them. There had to be so many sidebars on who Asian Americans are. Why are they in Georgia, of all places? But even though it's not a round number, it's a crooked number, 42nd anniversary, it's still worth mentioning. There was a somewhat big to-do about Vincent Chin on the 40th. But in case you're like me and you feel that every year it's worth it to go over these issues, go over the facts, go over what happened to Vincent Chin, check out the ALDEF blog, Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, aldef.org/blog. Check out my piece there. And what I do, every day from the 19th to the 23rd, I think about what it means to be Asian American. Because that's our opportunity, while Vincent Chin was in a coma, to think about that issue, and to remember it and recall it, because it would be a crime to forget that Vincent Chin happened, because we are not beyond the experience where these things happen to Asian Americans in modern America today. That's just a fact. So I'm a little delayed today because, not just because of the Chin thing, but because I was trying to get together the tech to present to you the Sheng Thao press conference. It happened in Oakland about an hour ago. And since I've been back from my journey to Tacoma, which I talked about last Friday, the World Series of Comedy, I've been obsessed with the Sheng Thao story, because what a week Sheng Thao had, right? The people who are conspiring to get her out of office got all the signatures they needed to qualify for a recall election, which is a tremendous waste of money. You can recall somebody, but it's better to have someone challenged at the ballot box. You don't need recalls, but people have begun to use recalls over the last 10, 15 years as a way to circumvent democracy. Let people have their run, let them do their thing. I suppose there's a reason for a recall if there is a crime, but if there's no crime and people are just humans working in the political arena in an imperfect world, well, there's one way to oust that person, and that's at the ballot box. So that happened earlier in the week, right? The people who are out to spend money, spend their own money to get Sheng Thao out as mayor of Oakland, and then to waste taxpayer money in an unnecessary recall election. I assure you, whoever replaces Sheng Thao, if she's deemed replaceable or worthy of replacement, is not going to do a whole lot better than Sheng Thao. Maybe a little bit. I'm just saying, especially in midstream, this is not when you replace Sheng Thao. He's been in the job 18 months. Now comes the recall. Okay, so that was part one of Sheng Tao's bad week. Part two was Juneteenth, the celebration, an unsanctioned event at Lake Merritt, 15 shot. Terrible. Terrible. And then the next morning on Thursday, the FBI raids Sheng Tao's house. Why? Why did that happen? Well, no one knows. There's documents sealed somewhere in court that probably will be leaked when someone wants it leaked. But Sheng Thao was not arrested, although her house was raided. Apparently, it has some connection to a Vietnamese family that owns the wastewater, or the recycling, the city recycling program, or runs the city recycling program, and that appears to be the subject of the investigation. Was there some kind of pay-to-play scenario that implicates Sheng Thao? Sheng Thao was not charged, not arrested. No one was charged or arrested, but the houses were raided on Thursday. Sheng Thao has been in reclusive state. Oakland doesn't have a Camp David where you can go and retreat. And she has been silent on all these things Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it has not been a good look for Sheng Thao. I write for some publication, or a publication in Oakland, the Oakland Post, and I have avoided writing about Sheng Thao because I don't really get into the nuts and bolts of her administration and her the day-to-day operations of Oakland. I write about politics from a bigger picture, national, state, but a bigger picture. But I was fascinated by this because there were some things here that I wonder, why is this happening? Why is this happening to Sheng Thao? And it seemed too well orchestrated. Sheng Thao, of course, could do herself a lot of good by coming forward and speaking out. And today, like an hour ago, she did. So I'm trying to get, I got together the tech. We're going to play Sheng Tao's talk. And let's see. I'm going to, there's Sheng Thao. And she comes up, and the first thing she addresses, of course, is the she addresses the situation in with the shooting.
Unsanctioned gathering at Lake Merritt turned violent. Many people were assaulted, including over a dozen struck by gunfire. I am sickened by the senseless acts of violence. And I want every Oaklander to know that we will work hard to ensure that those responsible are held accountable. My heart goes out to all of those who are battling injuries, their families, and our whole city. The next morning.
See, this is important for her to address that, because that's been on the minds of everyone. Now, I know not a lot of people have heard much about the shooting, maybe on Juneteenth. I was out of town. But it was a shooting. At least 15 were injured. Fortunately, it wasn't worse than it was. It's bad enough. But that's what people were looking for from Sheng Thao on Wednesday, on Thursday. She didn't say anything Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now she comes out. She had to come out and lead with that. But then, after the raid on Thursday, people wanted to know about the raid. So here is Sheng Thao. And this, her whole statement, it's about 9 minutes. It's worth listening to.
As we were dealing with this trauma of the shooting at Lake Merritt, our city woke up to the news that the FBI had raided the home that I share with my partner and our family. You all deserve to hear directly from me about this event. I plan to be 100% transparent and cooperate fully with this investigation. And I want to be crystal clear. I have done nothing wrong. I can tell you with confidence that this investigation is not about me. I have not been charged with the crime, and I am confident that I will not be charged with the crime because I am innocent.
That is the key thing. And it took her a couple of days to come out and come forward. But what it did was there was this great hole in the news. There's the mayor's house getting raided, no response from the mayor. Her attorney comes out and tries to say what she just said, but it's not coming from her. Just saying that, hey, she deserves to be, she deserves, she's done nothing wrong, essentially. And let's see what happens. Everyone's looking for answers. It would have been much more effective had she come out Thursday or Friday immediately. Now there's some time, and now in the void of her speaking, there have been all these other stories out, and the other stories have not been flattering. The other stories out have been stories that have suggested that, well, now people, there's just two choices she has. She can fight or she can resign. And most, the NAACP is calling for resignation. An Asian group in Oakland is calling for her resignation. She had to come out with this sooner. And then there were these other stories suggesting that Sheng Thao could easily be replaced by someone beloved in the community, namely one Barbara Lee, the former House of Representatives member, who gave up her long-held seat because she was running for Senate, which was believed to be not necessarily her right, but Gavin Newsom had promised that seat to an African-American woman, then bypassed Lee and appointed a caretaker who would be in there for just the remainder of the late Dianne Feinstein's her run. Dianne Feinstein passed away, so she had that vacancy had to be filled. So LaFonza Butler filled that. Barbara Lee gave up the House to say, I'm going to run for Senate. She lost. She lost twice. But now the rumors had been reported that overheard Willie Brown, other people talking, Elihu Harris talking that, hey, there's someone who can take over right now. And that's Barbara Lee. Now that's bad for Sheng Thao, because Sheng Thao, if people are on the fence about whether Sheng Thao is guilty or innocent about anything, they know there's a recall. Now they know there's a replacement, ready and able. So things began to pile up. And then I saw one story that said, where are Sheng Thao's friends? The Bantas were believed to be her friends, but the Bantas are silent. Bantas are silent on this. Rob Bonta, his wife Mia, silent. Where the only one speaking out has been a former chief of staff, or one of her high level staffers, who said pretty much that she was called in and interviewed by the FBI, and from the questions they were asking her, it appears that there was some kind of pay-to-play sort of thing involving the Duongs to run the recycling in Oakland, and have contributed not just to Sheng Thao, but to a lot of Oakland politicians. And so that came out on Friday. ABC did a big report featuring that former staffer. Of course, we don't know. We're only speculating based on, well, this woman did participate in an FBI interview about this. But once again, all the information is sealed at this point about why the FBI was able to go in and raid the houses of Sheng Thao, as well as some Duong associates. Duong's house, I believe, too. So this is the situation here. Now, Sheng Thao finally comes out today, Monday, and she comes out guns a-blazing. Here she's saying, I'm innocent. I don't know why this has happened, but I'm innocent. She needed to have said that on Friday. But here it is on Monday, like an hour ago. Here's the rest of her statement.
Just like you, I am seeking answers from the U.S. Attorney about what is happening and why. Why I wasn't offered the opportunity to cooperate voluntarily. As I receive information from the FBI and the U.S. Attorney that I am authorized to share, I will share it with you all. Nothing is going to distract me from building on the progress we have made in the last 18 months. I am going to focus on doing what I came here to do. So let me tell you about what we have been doing since Thursday. Operations of the city have continued without interruption, as they do every day, in the capable hands of our amazing city administrator, Justin Johnson.
So now she's getting into, hey, I've been not missing in action or missing in office, as one detractor said to the media. Oakland is run by the city administrator, and even though they've got a big budget they have to pass, everything was in control. So the city wasn't out of control. Of course, you ask people on the street, where's the mayor? Where's the mayor? And it gives the appearance of a city out of control. So this is another thing that Sheng Thao had to establish today. Things are under control.
I'm grateful to Administrator Johnson and the entire city workforce for remaining focused and dedicated to delivering services to the residents of Oakland. The work of making Oakland cleaner and safer continues. My role as your mayor continues. I will remain focused on supporting the City Council as they vote to pass a balanced budget this week. We will complete the transaction for the sale of the Coliseum property to the African American Sports Entertainment Group. I will not allow for this historic investment in East Oakland to be derailed. And we will continue to address crime head on.
See, those are the two best, those are the two things or three things that people want to know. Hey, is the city running well in your absence, or were you absent, or in this news turmoil and news vacuum, was it running well? And then number two, we want to be assured that the A's thing is, that you're going to make the sale on the Coliseum. Something's going to happen. Forget the A's. I don't know if really Sheng Thao had the gravitas to deal with that negotiation. It did not work. And maybe it wasn't going to work at all anyway. Maybe it was a foregone conclusion. They weren't going to come back to Oakland. But we don't know now. We know that she's the mayor who was in charge when the A's left. That's sad. So she had to establish, okay, we're still going to go with the sale to the Black Entertainment Group. They're going to develop East Oakland. But notice number three was Oakland safe. That Oakland's safe. That's what people want to know. She addressed it earlier when she talked about the Lake Merritt shootings. But people want to know that Oakland is safe, open for business. Come to Oakland if you're a resident, if you're a visitor. Oakland's safe.
The timing of all this is troubling and we should all be concerned.
Now she gets into the politics, because this is the big question. Things don't happen just coincidentally. Things are happening now for a reason. And I'm not trying to spread conspiracy theories, but I'm saying that when things happen, it's the stars are aligned when it comes to, celestial things, the universe. But in politics, when the stars align, people are pulling levers. There's no coincidence.
We now have an active recall campaign that is a waste of time and public resources. And I have questions that need to be answered. I want to know what probable cause the FBI has. What evidence have they collected that justifies raiding the home of a sitting mayor without notice and without the courtesy of a conversation?
Consider that. They didn't even give her the courtesy that they were going to raid her or raid her home. I mean, a sitting president, of course, you say, oh, that's the president. But it doesn't matter. Head of a government, if they have the respect, or if it's not part of some kind of political play, usually get that courtesy of, we're going to raid the home. Would you like us to come at a convenient time? And we don't have to. There's no reason why it had to be on the news. That's the key. The people wanted it on the news, because if you're running a recall campaign, there's nothing like having a lot of free advertising from the news. And of course, the news accommodated. I mean, the news was there, but listen to Sheng Thao.
I want to know more about the handful of billionaires from San Francisco and from Piedmont who are hell-bent on running me out of office. I want to know why, the day following the qualification of a recall election, funded by some of the richest people in the Bay Area, seemed like the right day to execute a warrant. I want to know how the TV cameras knew to show up on my sleepy residential street so early in the morning to capture footage of the raid. And I want to know why Fox News and Breitbart were so prepared to fan the flames and to tell a story that they want to tell.
That is so important. That is not an insignificant thing. Someone spent a lot of money to get the recall effort, to get the signatures, they qualified. Now the city's going to spend a lot of money on an election. And the people who want to win that election want as much free advertising as they can. This was a free political ad for those recall folks. How it happened, not sure. But when things are aligned, as I said, when it comes to celestial matters, yes, things can sort of align perfectly. When it comes to politics, that takes some doing. That's a man-made occurrence. It's a political occurrence out to get Sheng Thao.
To bend the facts to shape a narrative. I have a lot of questions and I will get answers. We all will get answers. Like any mother, my first priority immediately following the FBI intrusion was to ensure that my son and I were safe. It's hard to imagine now. By the time my first thought was that the FBI was at my door to help me, to protect me.
Hey, how many times has that happened? The police are there. They say, oh, thank God the police are here. They're here to protect me. No, they're there to get Sheng Thao. Not to arrest her. She wasn't arrested. But she was not, as she put it, she was not there to be protected by the police.
Just hours prior, a small group of billionaires from Piedmont and San Francisco had succeeded in buying a recall election to oust me in November. And in doing so, they were not only aiming to undermine the outcome of a fair and free election, but they empowered a dangerous man with a history of assault weapons violations to further attack me and my family.
Don't know who she's referring to there, but maybe some Oakland insiders do.
When the FBI broke into my house, I thought the worst had happened. That my choice to serve my city as a public official had threatened the physical safety of my family. My worst nightmare. But what it would turn out to be, a nightmare of an entirely different kind. When you're in that much shock and your life has been turned upside down and in an instant, it is hard to know who you can trust. But what I do know is that this wouldn't have gone down the way it did if I was rich, if I had gone to elite private schools, or if I had come from money. I know that for sure because former elected officials are sitting safely in their houses, in the hills right now with campaign finance violations piling up, mountains of evidence that prove actual wrongdoing. Their front doors remain intact, their reputations preserved, their innocence presumed until proven guilty. They will never face this indignity.
That got me. That got me because she was due a courtesy. She was not given a courtesy. People can listen to this press conference and they might say, oh, she's claiming victimhood. Well, she was victimized. She was not given a common courtesy by the FBI who raided her home. And what did it result? It resulted in her being hung out to dry, as it were, on television news, video, at the ready, all the stations, both local and national. As I said, it was orchestrated. I know from working at local TV news outlets that people who work law enforcement will get a tip. Hey, we're going to raid this. We're going to do this drug bust. They tell us what's going to happen. We get our cameras there. We get the good guys getting the bad guys. In this case, it's a visual that will go a long way to hurt Sheng Thao. And people, if they know it, even if they know it, they won't discount it because there it is. That's why it's all important to get the truth. What's the truth? What are the charges? And it goes back to the beginning of this. If Sheng Thao is innocent, she promises transparency. She doesn't know anything that's going on here. This is sort of like Kafka's The Trial. What's going on? She doesn't know yet. She hasn't been charged. She hasn't been arrested. But here's Sheng Thao, and people remember the news they saw that night, the photographs of the boxes being taken out of the home, and they'll be left to make their own conclusions, separate from the facts. It's very unfair to Sheng Thao.
This I know for sure because I was born poor in America. And that teaches you a lot about the world from day one. I know many of you know exactly how this feels. Sitting with your head in your hands, scared, angry, scared to look too angry in fear of how you might make the situation worse, feeling the injustice in every bone in your body, knowing if you cry out and demand for answers, you will do nothing but cement the judgment they have rooted deep in their mind. I see you. I really see you.
This is a key point, too. The fact that she grew up poor, and really poor, among the poorest Asian Americans. You say, oh, the Asians are so rich. Yeah, the people have been here for generations. The people who've been here since the Chinese Railroad. Yeah, maybe they're doing well. And maybe some, recent 20-year immigrants, from China who have the wherewithal, yeah, to have businesses and whatnot. The Hmong came here as refugees. The Hmong came here as they were pawns in the war in Laos, the illegal war in Laos. And they came here as refugees. And they're spread out throughout the United States, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Fresno, Stockton. That's where Sheng Thao was. That's where she was born. One of 10 kids. She knows what being poor is. I remember when I was covering Stockton, Sheng Thao would have been of the age of the kids at one high school who had babies in high school. So many Hmong babies, they had to have a daycare in a high school just for the Hmong. I remember that. I did not know the Hmong community well, but when I worked in Stockton and I covered all the Asian communities, Cambodian, Vietnamese, Hmong, Thai, that story I did about the Hmong mothers. Usually they were married to older Hmong men. That got me. And I know that Sheng Thao is in that generation, and she left Stockton while she was still like 6 months pregnant. So when she says she grew up poor, she's not exaggerating. I mean, it's not like another famous politician who's begging that he's been victimized. Sheng Thao, when she talks to Oakland residents and says, I see you, I know what we're going through. And this whole idea of anger, you can't catch a break. You feel that anger where you know that if you expressed anger, it would be the worst thing. So in many ways, I get it. Maybe that's what was going through her mind when on Thursday night, she remained silent. On Friday, silent. Saturday, Sunday, silent. She comes out now. And maybe this was the best thing. To think about what it would have appeared like if she came out fighting angry on that day. That takes a certain maturity.
And I am your mayor. I am the mayor to all the Oaklanders who work hard, who are working overtime to do the right thing and to make the world a better place. And no matter how hard you strive and push and fight and stay positive, and that you don't give up because you believe in yourself and you know what you have to offer this world, that you just cannot catch a break.
You get the tears now, but that was also powerful, where she says, you work overtime to do the right thing, make the world a better place. No matter how hard you strive, you can't catch a break. Man, that was powerful. I just think she's not done yet, but I think you can tell this is a speech that could turn things around for Sheng Thao.
Well, guess what? I'm not going down like that. We're not going down like that. The people who voted for me deserve to have their voices heard and communities prioritized. I'm seeking the truth right now, just as much as you all are. But I will not be bullied, and I will not be disparaged, and I will not be threatened out of this office. There are a lot of radical right-wing forces who know they will never win an election in Oakland fair and square. They know their extreme views are at odds with our Oakland values. but they have built the rules to protect and preserve their power and maintain dominance over the rest of us. We are a threat to that order. I know that. The people who supports me know that. You see, this was never going to be an easy fight. But I tell you, it's most definitely a fight worth winning. I will continue to lift up those most vulnerable, to lead by example, to prove that this system might not be designed for us, but we can and we will build a brighter future for our children. This is my mission as your mayor. And I thank you for seeing me in this moment, one of the hardest moments of my life. I am a mother, a fighter, a survivor. And when my parents came to this country fleeing genocide, they never could have imagined that their daughter would one day be mayor of Oakland. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, and I am your mayor, Mayor Sheng Thao. Thank you.
Mic drop moment. I mean, really. Mic drop moment, right? I mean, Sheng Thao did it. I think if you doubted, hold on, we got Kamala Harris there. We don't want Kamala Harris. If you have been following the Sheng Thao story and saying we're her friends, I still think that's an issue. Where are her friends? Where are the people who think she can do a good job? Because if there are people who don't have the confidence in her, then it may not matter if she defeats the recall. She needs those people to step up and to say, hey, Sheng Thao, you can do it. But here's Sheng Thao now coming out and saying, now you know why I didn't speak immediately after Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Now you know why I waited today. Because city was in good hands. City was safe. The city administrator was running things. The budget will ultimately be passed. But I learned we're not going to go down where we express our anger and then we lose our credibility and then we lose the fight. No. She's approaching this calmly, although with tears, but she wants answers. And she wants to know why wasn't she given the courtesy? She wants to know if she were white from an Ivy League school or from an established high-powered Stanford type school, would she have been treated this way? Would she have been given the courtesy? And then at the end, he says, like I am not going to be bullied. She's a fighter. And I think now we know where Sheng Thao stands. She's a fighter. I think if we're all in the same boat, all the facts of the case and why the FBI raided the house have been sealed. We don't know. We're guessing. We're guessing it may be some kind of pay-to-play thing with the Duong family who runs the recycling situation in Oakland. But she's right. If other Oakland politicians have campaign donation violations and they aren't treated this way, what's the deal? What happened? Why is she getting special treatment? The negative special treatment. And so she says, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to get answers, and I'm going to continue fighting for the people who voted for him, because she's right. The people who voted for her deserve fairness. They deserve answers. They deserve to see the person they voted for finish out their term. That's why recalls are not the right way. Recalls are a way to take democracy wrested away from the people. The people have spoken in the last election. They'll get a chance in the next election to say, Sheng Thao, you blew it. But here's a little help from people with tons of money who want to, in Sheng Tao's words, buy a recall, and oust her before. And then there was that rumor put out that Barbara Lee, revered, respected Barbara Lee, is ready to step in and be mayor, which is great. I mean, it wouldn't be fair not to Sheng Tao. So I have to say, I was impressed by Sheng Tao's words, because I don't think, if she wasn't this strong, or if she did not come out in this way, I don't think she would have survived the week. But clearly she has decided to take this head on, to fight it, because it's unfair. It's a bullying political move. And for the people who voted for her, she's not going to stand for it. She's going to fight. I just think that this was a good move, but there have been other moves that she has done that have been questioned. I think it's tough when your top advisor is also your boyfriend and partner. And there's some who have suggested in the news, namely the staffer who was interviewed by the FBI, who said that a lot of the things that happened when Thao was put in the office, like who gets appointed to what commission, who gets to do what, it was always based on, well, I know this guy said, we did this. And so I don't know, like she said, we don't know what the facts are. She hasn't been charged. She hasn't been arrested. But her coming out fighting is going to hasten things. We should know by the end of the week exactly what the charges are, because they will be leaked, because people will want to know. But there's something that works when Sheng Tao says, look, I was born poor. My parents escaped genocide. I am my parents' wildest dream that when they escaped genocide, that one day their daughter would be the first Hmong American to head up a major American city. So hats off to Sheng Tao. She did what she had to do. And I hope people react to it in a way that they respect it, and they don't make the assumption that, oh, well, a house is raided, she's guilty. House, that doesn't mean anything. Well, we don't know the charges. She hasn't been arrested. She hasn't been charged. She hadn't been. Let's wait. The Duongs, they're just the recycling managers, but their company and their campaign contributions are at question here, it appears, or the speculation is. So, but they don't talk. They haven't been saying anything to the media. I think I've seen one or two quotes, but the mayor really had to do this. As the mayor, as the main officer, the leader of Oakland. I think, though, look, you heard it too. I mean, I played the recording. What got me is when she says, I'm for all of Oakland. Not just the rich, not just the people who, from Piedmont. Not just the people who live in the hills. I'm for all of Oakland. It's a tough job. Some people say, oh, look, she was too inexperienced. She couldn't have done the job. But she was supported by progressives who had hopes for her. and she won an election fair and square. All right, albeit it was ranked choice voting, but she won. Some people are still sore about that. And they want nothing better than to have her removed. That would be unfair. So let's see what the charges are. Let's see if she can fight it. Let's see how she can fight it. Let's see her get the answers. But as I said, this was it appears to have been politically orchestrated so that the cameras were ready, people knew what was going to happen, and after this expensive recall was announced, well, surely the people who were behind that thought, well, we need some political advertising. So this was a form of political advertising. If they were behind it, I'm not putting it past them, but I'm speculating here. But I think if you were a Sheng Thao voter, you know she's not rolling over and playing dead. She's tough. She's going to stick with it. And I think you'll see if just how strong a person and a leader Sheng Thao can be. This is the real test. Last week was probably the worst week in her life, her political life for sure. I mean, here's a mom who left her home at 17 with a, still mid-pregnancy. Here's a woman, single mom. You don't think she's seen some bad days? But politically last week was bad, but this was a bad day too, because she had to face the cameras and tell people exactly what was going on. And I think she did. She was controlled. Well, controlled meaning she spoke in a pace that allowed her to be understood. So she was well spoken. She cried, but not so emotionally. She kind of pushed back tears, but it was just teary enough so that I think she was very credible. And I think she has some questions that need to be answered. Like, who's behind this? Why did it happen this way? Why didn't they give her a courtesy call? Why wasn't she given the opportunity to surrender boxes without a search warrant? Why was it seen that she was some kind of risk that, she would burn documents or what? But if people were out to get her, Sheng Thao today spoke back and said, I'm not going to be bullied. I'm innocent. I'm not going to be bullied. You got to hand it to her. She held her own, and I think if Sheng Thao has a future in politics, it was defined by that speech. A few days late, perhaps, but she took the issue head on. Now we'll see if she has. Now we'll see if there are charges. We'll see what was behind the FBI raid. But if she has a future in politics, she can look back at this moment today and say, look, I'm not going to be bullied. I'm innocent. I'm taking it head on. I'm fighting for you, the people who voted for me. Effective. I have to admit, I haven't really seen Sheng Sheng Tao too much in action. You know, sometimes during the campaign, when she got elected, the ace thing. I was reading more about the negotiations more than seeing her talk. But this was, I think, an impressive show of a woman who has seen a whole lot worse standing up for herself. I mean, unless she's been somehow used by people she trusted and shouldn't have. Don't know what the story is. Either advisors or donors. That's the question. But strong response. I think it's so strong that by the end of the week, things will be leaked and we will see the truth about why the FBI did what it did and didn't give Sheng Tao a chance to willingly give up whatever they wanted. Because someone really wanted a photo of FBI people taking things out of Sheng Tao's house. Someone wanted that for campaign purposes. Local politics. Oakland. Asian American woman. I will say this. She's right. This wouldn't have happened to someone else who wasn't exactly from her circumstances. She was wealthier, maybe whiter. But that's politics in America today. So, this is episode, what episode? Episode 704. You can rewind and catch my commentary on Sheng Tao's statement. I thought it was a good statement. What else could she have said? What else could she have said at this point except, I'm going to fight this? Oh, well, she had two choices, right? Fight or resign. There were a number of people who wanted her to resign from both the NAACP and from the Asian American community. She's not resigning. She's fighting. So who throws the next punch? And how is that punch leaked to the media? I think some billionaires in Piedmont and San Francisco know. But this is no different than the school board politics that we've seen. But this is the big one. You know, the office of the mayor is so much bigger than the school board. So much bigger than DEI and political correctness and whatever. But that was part of the, the woke approach of the extreme right. Now, here's a way that they can take over Oakland. What surprises me is this. I think the next thing might be, what does Rob Bonta say, the state attorney general, if anything? He was an ally, Filipino-American. What does Mia Bonta say, the assemblywoman? Where are her friends? Remember, even convicted felon Donald Trump survives only because his friends are willing to go to jail for him and his friends are willing to vote for his lies and his crooked nature. Friends help. So, for Sheng Tao, when do her friends speak? When do they say, hold it, let's see this play out? Where people saying, give her time to figure out what's going on in Oakland. Some people, I'm sure, aren't willing to give her the time. That would be a shame. But let's see who's the first to say, you know, Sheng Thao is right. She deserves to be heard and deserves a common courtesy. Why wasn't that common courtesy given to her by the FBI? Let's see if people follow that narrative. Okay, that's it for our show today. I'll probably write about it on my on the ALDEF blog tomorrow, Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. But thank you for listening in. A little delayed because we wanted to get the tech just right. I think we did. I hope we did. And yeah, so hey, we're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific generally, sometimes a little later. Check us out on YouTube at Emil Amok 1, on Twitter, X at Emil Amok, YouTube. Yeah, I give YouTube. Facebook at Emil Amok. No, Facebook at emilguillermo.media. That's where you find us. You know, I was just flipping around. I saw Jennifer Garner's mother was on, and she was an older woman, looked like to be in her 80s or 90s. Now, what was interesting about her is that they asked her about, for some words of wisdom, and she said, I used to be upset. I'm late. Someone's late. I used to get angry. I don't get angry anymore. We'll get there when we get there. It was a kind of wisdom that you get only if you're old or only if you meditate. And that is that, hey, it'll all be all right. It'll all work out. If it doesn't work out now, it will work out. And it's that kind of attitude and that kind of philosophy that keeps you from getting angry, keeps you from getting uptight and cross and doing things that you later would regret. I admit that as a young man, I was more of that angry type. I was more of that amok type. And now I realize it's better to be amok with love. So there was Jennifer Garner's mother saying, yeah, just relax. It'll be all right. Be kind. Be understanding. It seems to be the way to go. I mean, because most people just like put out a shot, right? Attack or retaliate, get angry, get mad. That's not the answer. That's not the answer. And I learned it through meditation. Hey, that's it for the show. Back again tomorrow. I'd like to close with a little meditative goodbye, a little loving kindness, a little metta, M-E-T-T-A. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal. Kita.